Hi and welcome to this week's video. As you can see, things have changed very slightly in the workshop. I'll get up to one or two little bits and pieces, so join me, let's see what I've been up to. In the comments from the last video, I believe it's Tim Stevenson said, I mentioned about doing the bevel edge here with a piece of nylon on these little fairings, but I didn't show it, and asked if I'd shown it somewhere before. I thought I had. I thought I'd shown it when I did the fuel filler area bit, but obviously not. So I will demonstrate with this piece of aluminium here. So this is the tool I'm using. It's a piece of nylon with a slot cut in the side of it, and quite literally all I do is you slot that over the piece of aluminium I want to bevel, and run it around the edge as I want, and I do this in a couple of stages. So I get the angle that I want, which is usually about sort of 20 degrees or so. And you can, if you've got an area which isn't quite as you want it, you can work it a little bit more, usually around radiuses like that. And there you have it. That's how I do the bevel edge, literally with that simple tool. It's nothing particularly complicated, but it produces that really nice sort of edge area. So when that sits on something, that tends to, it can distort that a little bit, make a nice tight edge to whatever item you want, and makes the airflow look better than just having a straight edge on there, which quite often might kink away. But if you're really into wanting to see complex metal bashing, and which beyond what I tend to do in my workshop, I haven't got an English wheel, which really would help, but different forms of panel beating and getting the metal into some really good shapes, then look at Don Watson's video bit, which will be somewhere up here. I'll put a link to his channel up at the top, and I'll put a link actually on the end screen and in the description below. He does some fantastic work on his project Frankenstein, so have a little look at that. It's you'll get all sorts of hints and tips on how to create some really quite complicated shapes. I've made up this little panel to go on the side of the aircraft to hold the inspection ring. This is an aerobatics type, so it's got the recessed section there which holds this into the hole better than the standard one. So quite tight to move it across, unhook, pull it out, and there we go, there's the hole. And to reinforce, this is just 32nd ply, I've put 16th ply on the other side, but you have to chamfer it quite a bit to allow this to be able to slide far enough over so it releases. You can actually put a couple of sort of extension notches in, so you put it into place and rotate it slightly is another way of doing it, which I may do yet anyway, just because of how tight it fits on here. Right, while the inspection ring is being glued on or setting, I've created the bits for the seat belt harness. This is the front end which the harness clips onto, a swivel here, which has got a tensile strength much higher, it's 4 times the strength of this cable which I'm using. This is galvanized cable, hence I've got the copper type ferrules on there. So that's made up, complete with its heat shrink and things like that, ready to go. You can sort of see up here there should be a link to making the cables when I did the undercarriage. So there we go. So I'll put this into place just so I can have the harnesses sort of there ready when we do the covering, and have the routing all sorted out. Well, there's the shoulder harnesses going through, going back, clips into their position there, and they carry on back down to a tie point there. That's not the bolt that's going to go through it. There's the undercarriage mounting bolt, rear tailwheel mounting bolt goes through it all there, but that just holds everything in place. So it's all as it should be when it's in situ. I can disconnect that lot for now until I've done the lower covering. I can put it in after I've done the upper covering, but it's going to be a little bit of a pain trying to get that all sorted out through a pair of wood rings at the bottom. So it's bottom down there somewhere. One thing I don't know if I described how I made the ring section on the back of there. That plywood ring, I did that with a large hole cutter, tank cutter, cut the big circle out, bonded it to this 32nd ply, and then bored out the appropriate size with a smaller hole cutter, tank cutter. So there we go. But at the moment this is all taped up, curing. And as you'll see, I've just done those two little cutouts and chamfered them a bit so we can put the wood ring in, put the inspection disc in, turn it and put it back. I could use either type of inspection ring at the back here. I will be using two aerobatic ones for sure on the belly of the aircraft for where we go in for the mounting points for the wings and things like that. So there'll be a wood ring back here and one on the opposite side, and I'll use the aerobatic ones there because it's right in the prop wash area, which with turbulence and things like that, which tends to move the other type around a bit. I'll show you the difference. That's the aerobatic type, which all rotates. This is the sort of standard type, which is just domed, and that's the type which I'll use on the wings. The spring's going sort of sideways like that, but they'll go onto the wings. I'll probably polish them up a little bit. They're only light aluminium, but I might polish those up just so that they sort of blend in and look a little bit like the rest of the stuff, bare aluminium I've got, which is polished. But that's something for the future. So I've got a stack of those. I've only got two of those because I only had two in stock, but I can order the third one if I deem it suitable for that task at the back. And those will actually be covered with the Auretex covering of the fuselage to give them their colour so that they match perfectly, rather than trying to get a paint to stick to that and look good. The Auretex, it will stick extremely well to aluminium if you do the correct prep on it. Right, fitting the inspection cover. So I've got my two sort of slot sections there. I can push this in, get it so it sits right across, then you just rotate it 90 degrees and push it up till it locks. Note the spring section is at 90 degrees roughly to the airflow on the aircraft. That's so that should the wind blow, it will only slide across, it won't come out. Okay, so it's a nice sort of simple sort of setup like that, and we can get the clip out in, twist it, lock it so it's at 90 degrees to the airflow. There we go. Okay, let's see if I can talk a little bit about what's gone on. Look, I've got workbench, that workbench there with, well, most of the stuff that's on there is engine or hardware and various bits and pieces for the aircraft and the cowl. There used to be a smaller bench over there, and these two benches, as you recall, along with a spacer piece in between, ran up the centre of my workshop with a fuselage on it, which is now sitting on trestles. The reason for that is we're getting closer and closer to the point where I want to be able to do covering and turn the aircraft over upside down and get to the top of it more easily, and to the point where we're going to end up sticking it on its wheels. All my wings are still in the benches, and away we go from there. What else have I been up to? Well, in the process of taking everything out, I took the opportunity, because the weather was good enough, to just quickly stick the lower wings on, so I could put these ply pieces on. These are what the covering will stick to, rather than sticking it to a point which is indeterminate. I've raised it up here, so this is 32nd ply, and it's spaced up at the moment with just one little strip of balsa front and rear at the moment, but I'm going to be adding balsa strips around to make it more stable, so when the covering's on, it isn't going to just pull flat, which would make it pointless. And then I can trim around the edge on the line here, and get the general rib shape there. So I'm just going to use balsa behind, glued to the plywood, but not to the fuselage itself. I can then trim and cut that back, and then I can glue that balsa to the plywood, either with PVA glue, the same way as I'm going to glue it to this, or with cyanoacrylate if I so desire, and that becomes better. And at the back end here, I'll make a piece that will sort of scallop itself down into the side of the fuselage, and there'll be a ply plate coming down here, about 1.5 inches wide, coming down here with a sort of curve off on it, which will be for the covering to come down from the stringer down to it, and it will step back up and then over onto this. So if you just went straight from here to here, you'd have a nice covering section that would suddenly drop off. There'd be a step in the side of the aircraft, which would look really quite weird. So by doing that, there'll be less obvious sort of steps to look at. So there we go. I'll carry on and get cracking. I hope you can sort of see the blocks in the front there, packing out that area, which have been cut to the profile of the ply. I cut along the line which I had on the ply, and right the way down. So they're all bonded into place, top and bottom now. This is all bonded in place, and then coming back here, again the same, packed up with ply, except at the back end here I've got a little bit of the white pine being used, tapering back. Going on to here, we've got a 1/16 piece of plywood, just to produce a step going up. It levels it off with the front section here, and then this section of balsa wood has been added and chamfered across to give a nice taper from this point here, because that's got kinked up compared to the trailing edge of the wing, but just to make a nice fillet that way, so the covering can come down from here, down, be bonded to here, run across, and then up right over, and it'll have a nice sort of watershed standard sort of wing root fairing sort of look about it at the back edge here. So that'll come, initially we'll have the covering coming up here, going across from the underskin, and then going across from here, across here, up and over here. So this will all be covered with the fuselage covering. There'll just be the slots cut in for the spar mounting lugs and the aileron control tubes to go through. I'm going to varnish the whole of this side. It's only had one coat on the main section, a couple of coats elsewhere. So it's going to have one full coat, likely to have one full coat, and anything that hasn't been varnished, of course, will have to have 2 coats. But that's minor. So we've got the access hole point up there, and this little lot here that just needs 2 coats. The access hole bit has already been varnished on the inner side, so we're okay. There we go, that's this side varnished up and sorted out. I'm quite pleased with the way this sort of fairing sections come out, but I haven't done the other side yet. I've still got to do the other side and get it to match, but my plans are now to move a little bit inside. I'm going to start looking at getting the pilot aware sections ready to install. Well, that's it, folks. Yeah, we've got a good chunk of stuff done. Not as much actually on the aircraft as actually reorganising the workshop to accommodate the next stages going forward. We are definitely getting closer and closer to the aircraft fuselage anyway, looking, well, more like a completed aircraft. Still a few weeks off. I'm not sure I'm going to get much videoing done next week. I've got a lot on, but I am hoping to at least show you around the pilot aware being reasonably well fitted, and we'll talk about what pilot aware actually does. I think that'd be a good chunk. I've got the root fairing to do for the other side, so we'll probably get that done next week, but I don't think I'll get much else done. We'll see. So keep well and fit, and catch you in the next video. Bye now. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.